A young girl hears stories from her father about trolls. When she grows up, she comes face to face with the 150-foot creatures. Nora Tidemann listens intently to her father's stories. Tobias tells Nora a story about the origin of the mountains. As a young girl, she discovers that mythical creatures known as trolls roamed the earth millions of years ago. They were giant animals that only a few people saw in their lifetime. When they died, the trolls turned to stone, and that's how the mountains in Oslo came to be. Nora was so captivated during one of these stories that she almost quote-unquote saw one of their faces in the mountains. Decades have passed, and Nora has now become a paleontologist. During a tunneling operation through the mountains of Dovre, something goes wrong and a giant eruption kills several of the workers and many of the people that came to protest against the destruction of the mountains. The deaths and the severity of the incident caused the Norwegian government to get involved. They hire a team of scientists, among whom is Nora, to examine the mountains and determine what caused the explosion. While the other scientists are already experienced, Nora will be going on her first major archaeological find. This so-called army of scientists arrive at the site of the explosion, and most of them seem to agree that the incident was caused due to a pocket of methane. The tunneling operations ignited the gas, causing a massive boom and the shaking of the ground. However, Nora and the Prime Minister's advisor seem to disagree with this theory. Nora and Andreas Isaksen see the large impressions in the earth. Oddly enough, they look like giant footprints, which they point out to the other scientists. While the scientists don't want to believe Nora and Andreas, the Norwegian government listens carefully. To investigate even further, they appoint Captain Chris Holm from the Norwegian army to assist them during further investigations in the region. While they look at the footprints, something strange happens nearby. While an elderly couple was having lunch, the earth began to shake once again. Fearing that it was an earthquake, the elderly couple quickly hid in their basement, knowing they would be safe there. Once the trembling subsided, they came out, only to find their house had been completely destroyed. They find more footprints, and Nora believes that only a giant troll, just like the one she learned about when she was a little girl, could be responsible for this. Wanting to know more, Andreas, Chris, and Nora seek advice from a professor who has lost his job because he fears there are mythical creatures living in the Norwegian mountains. They investigate further and go deep within the heart of the mountains. There, they find something that can only be described as a topographical anomaly. Unbeknownst to them, this mountainside is also the home of a giant troll. They wake up the 150-foot or 45-meter mythical creature by accident. The troll opens his eyes, and they all see it. Terrified, they run for their lives, but still manage to capture video proof of the existence of trolls. The trio brings the footage to the Norwegian government, and the Prime Minister organizes an attack on the troll. Their reasoning is simple: kill it before it kills us. Chris is ordered to organize the attack, but nothing goes according to plan. When they come face to face with the giant creature, they realize that bullets and ballistic missiles don't injure the troll. If anything, these weapons just annoy it even more. During the altercation, Tobias, the professor, tries to communicate with the troll. It seems to be working at first, but then the soldiers open fire. The troll gets startled and immediately kills Tobias. The army retreats along with Nora and Andreas, hoping to come up with a better plan of attack. Nora spends what little time she has at her disposal to find out more about the troll. She comes across a book that suggests a sonic attack would shock the troll and render it immobile. They get church bells and try to incapacitate the troll, but the only thing they manage to do is enrage it even further. The troll goes on a rampage and destroys everything in its path. The incalculable collateral damage attracts the attention of major Norwegian news outlets. They manage to film everything on camera and broadcast it on national TV. The story is immediately picked up and distributed by international media sites, and shortly, the whole world finds out about Norway's troll in the mountains. While the TV channels are all broadcasting the same story, the troll heads for Oslo. The military and the government don't know how to stop it, so they decide to evacuate the city. As a last resort, the Prime Minister orders the activation of nuclear warheads. The blast would destroy the city, but it would also kill the troll. When Nora and Andreas hear about this, they try to convince Chris to reconsider. However, they are dismissed from the task force and head home. But Nora doesn't give up. She spends all of her time trying to find the secret about the trolls. She pores over the notes that Tobias left for her. They indicate she should go to the Royal Norwegian Palace if she wants to find out the truth about the trolls. There, Nora and Andreas meet with Rikard Sinding, the chief of court at the Royal Palace. Knowing that the whole city is doomed, he reveals the truth about the trolls of Norway. As it turned out, Tobias was right. He was fired from the university not because he was telling lies, but because he was getting too close to the truth. You see, when Christian settlers first came to Norway, they found out that giant trolls lived in the mountains. The truth about that was buried in the folklore that they told over generations. Nora's father, much like Tobias, was also discredited when he got a little too close to the truth. Rikard admitted that he was the one that sent him to a mental health hospital, claiming he was insane. In truth, the Royal Palace of Norway was built on the same spot where the Palace of the Troll King used to be. The Christians managed to take his wife, children, and other family members. They massacred them and left their bones to rot beneath the palace. Then they constructed their own glorious building on top of it. The king was the only one who was left alive, but due to his wounds and injuries, the people believed he would die in the Dovre Mountains. Well, it turns out that the king survived, and now he was heading to Oslo, hoping to reclaim his throne. Realizing the danger they are in, Nora decides to find a way to kill the troll. As the books suggest, the trolls can only be killed using direct sunlight. She tells Chris about the discovery, and the two start collecting tanning beds, hoping to stop the troll using UV light. While Chris is busy collecting all of the tanning beds and placing them at the right locations, Andreas goes to stop the nuclear strike. He calls his friend Sigrid, who works for a secret government facility, and asks him for help. Being a computer genius, Sigrid easily hacks into the military's nuclear weapon system, and the attack is postponed. The only thing left to do now is lure the troll away from the royal palace back to the location with all the tanning beds. Nora and Andreas take one of the skulls from the baby trolls found in the cavern beneath the palace. They secure it on a truck and went to lure the Troll King. The trap works. The troll follows them exactly as they had hoped, and the troll finds himself in a trap of UV light. Before the light could kill the troll, Nora decides to turn off the tanning beds and hopes to make amends with the Troll King. But it's too late. The clouds clear, exposing the bright sun behind them. The direct sunlight kills the trolls, and the citizens rejoice. While everyone is celebrating, Nora and Andreas can't help but wonder if there are more trolls hidden inside the mountains. At the end of the movie, a loud roar can be heard coming from the cave in the Dovre Mountains, suggesting that the Troll King is not the last of his kind.